Okay, now live.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Our distinguished speakers, VIPs from Quiz and UNISEL. Welcome to the sixth session, BERNAS Program 1. My name is Yati Ashikin binti Abdul Wahab and I'm lecturer from Faculty of Engineering and Life Sciences, UNISEL. It is my pleasure to be a moderator for this program on what is innovation, connecting the phase. You'll be hearing a presentation from Mr. Ramesh Pillay and Dr. Faizal Hamid on this very timely subject. But before we get started, I wanted to take a few minutes of your time. If you have any question, you can use the chat box in our YouTube and FB Live. Moderator will read all the questions from time to time. There is also a Q&A session in the 10 minutes of the webinar session. E-certificate will be provided for all participants and you have to wait until the end of the session. Okay, Malaysia places great importance of STEM education as a means of becoming a developed nation and to achieve the targeted number of STEM workforce and ultimately to meet the challenges and demand of STEM-driven economy by 2020. Malaysia government, through the new economic model, aim to create 1.3 million jobs in STEM discipline in various sectors by 2020, enabling infrastructure and supporting the development of industrial cluster. The Malaysian STEM education aim and ensuring that Malaysia has STEM literate society and a sufficient number of highly skilled qualified STEM workforce that can be contribute to new innovation. Cultivating a culture and value STEM at early age is essential to increase awareness of the importance of STEM in the society. The innovation education industry will be discussed further by our guest speaker. First of all, may I be briefly introduced to our first speaker, Mr. Ramesh Pillay, is a founding member of Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation, MACRI, established in April 2007. He's always been passionate in advocating creativity and innovation and had worked in innovation-based NGOs since 1989. Currently, he is a honorary secretary of MACRI, which focus on advocating and culture innovation through seminars, workshops, and competition to nurture creativity and recognize innovation potential of youth. He travels to many countries to participate in innovation forums and intellectual property discourse sponsored by the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, the Japan Patent Office, and other national agencies in Malaysia. He's also often invited to serve as jury at innovation competition and the Kumpulan Creativity and Innovasi KIK assessment panel. In June 2021, he served as a judge for the James Dyson Award. Now, he's very engaged in promoting STEM education through the initiative of Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. He is tasked to organize STEM initiatives ranging from talks and workshops to STEM carnival, education tours and competitions. To further strengthen the STEM education initiative, he's created a network of STEM experts and resources, that is the STEM content provider network, and to engage with parents, teachers, and communities. He has established an online platform that is Friends of STEM. Our second speaker, Dr. Faizal Hamid, is a founder and CEO of Planchenik Sdn Bhd. He is graduated with a PhD in biotechnology from Monash University. He got his master degree in biotechnology from International University Islamic Malaysia and also bachelor in science in biotechnology in Monash University. Dr. Faizal was employed by the National Innovation Agency of Malaysia, AIM, a government agency under the Prime Minister Department. He was exposed to a multitude of sectors such as education, performance management, and SME startups concept to commercialization. Okay, moving on from AIM, Dr. Faisal was then the head of business development for a large corporation which handled several portfolios, including government and public sector relationship building, development of public-private partnership programs, and investment sourcing. In March 2019, Dr. Faisal decided to venture in his own business and set up Planchenik. Currently, he is a founder and CEO of Planchenik Sunan Berhad. Planchenik is a company specialized in agro-technology and provision of service and consultation for agriculture, with the goal of integrating agriculture and technology to effectively solve the environmental problems commonly faced in medium and large-scale farming. He also invited to serve as jury at innovation competition by Science Beach Academy and the National STEM Movement, and also the Kumpulan Creativity Innovasi Assessment Panel. He also played a main key contributor to the OECD review of Innovation Policy 2016 report. Without further ado, let us start with our first panel by inviting first Mr. Ramesh Pillay. Okay, he's now playing an active role in enhancing STEM education initiative and engaging with more stakeholders by spreading awareness on STEM through a facility of program at STEM for All marketplace. Okay, Mr. Ramesh will also discuss the concept of STEM and how it helped the innovation through experiential learning program and new digital program platform, which offer exciting opportunity to enhance competencies relevant to the needs of 21st century skill. With that, allow me to welcome Mr. Ramesh Pillay to share something with us.
Thank you so much, Ponyati. Is my audio okay? Can you hear? All right.
Yeah, okay, Mr.
Okay,
Ramesh.
good. All right. So thank you, Pon, for the very kind introduction. And thanks to the organizers, Quiz, and also UNISEL for this wonderful opportunity to share our experience. And welcome to all the students, lecturers on this platform. I'm very pleased to share the little that I know about importance of innovation and how STEM comes, and very much in relation to the topic that was given. And I think this is a very good topic, the innovation value change, connecting the phases. Or in BM, we call it rantai inovasi, rantai nilai inovasi. So the word nilai, I think, is critical. All right, we can have a lot of innovation, tapi kalau tak ada nilai, then innovation, they call it shop sendiri saja lah, kan? So we have to have the value. And I can see Dr. Faisal smiling because he too preaches this very much. Like the end of the day, whatever creativity, whatever idea we have, we must be able to translate it into value. All right, whether commercial value or social value, as long as it is put to use, then you have accomplished something. So we are here to share our thoughts, our experience on this subject, okay, which is the innovation value chain. I will focus very much on the component of STEM because we say that connecting the phases, right? So when you say connecting the phases, that means the many phases. If you speak to different authority, they will give you their different perspective. And every phase has got its own unique value that can bring to this, to students who are looking for ideas or inputs, right? Creativity is one of the components. Entrepreneurship is another component. And or you need all these kind of components to make the connections strong, so that the innovation. If you're not creative, susah. So you must sharpen your creative skills. At the end of it, you must be entrepreneurial. All right, you must be able to pitch your presentation skills. You have fantastic idea, but if you don't put it across in a good way, then people will say not convinced. And I must tell you, we have evaluated. Judges have got not much time to look each and every. So you make one mistake, or you are not able to say, this guy doesn't know much. So we will skip you. Business people also, if you're not able to pitch your idea well, then say, don't waste time, move on to the next one. So the world is very, very competitive. So I'm trying to tell you why that all these components are equally important. right? Creativity, your pitching skills, your presentation, as well as your entrepreneurship. That means you must be seeing yourself as an entrepreneur. What is it that the end game, how much of money it can generate? All right, so that's basically the introduction that I would like to share with you, and thank the organizers for picking this very important topic. Okay, now let me share some slides and also reinforce. I think Puan Yati has given a very good introduction, to help me with my presentation. Just to recap, Puan Yati has mentioned about STEM education emphasis by the government. She mentioned that there's 1.3 million workforce that is required. The issue is that we don't have enough talent pool, right? So all of you graduates, or you're going to be graduating, right? So if you are in the STEM field, we feel that there is much more opportunity. Or even if you're not in the STEM field and you decide to do some courses or some kind of modules relating to STEM, we believe that the opportunity is much greater. Let me show you, maybe in my one or two my slides, I may have some statistics, to show you why, in terms of career opportunity, the field of STEM, has got much more. You can speak to Dr. Faisal, for example. He will share with you. He has got a new, very exciting company, and it is STEM-based. It's agriculture, all right? You think that agriculture, pertanian, what is so great? What is STEM got to do? But it's everything to do with STEM, everything to do with science, everything to do with technology. So you have to be at that level in order to make the business very, just to be successful. If you want it to be more successful, your knowledge in STEM must be very competent. You must be competent in STEM related issue. All right, so let me try to share my slides. In the meantime, feel free, kalau if there's any clarification at any one point, you can either raise your hand. I prefer it that way. Kalau tidak, it's going to be one way kaja, and normally webinars is very boring if just one way. I prefer that if you have got any questions, do feel, let's make it like a bit like light and easy, a bit casual, macam santai kind of a format. Boleh Puan? Can, we follow that format. All right, so if you have got any questions or any suggestions, please feel free. Kalau nak just mencelah ke. Right, so let me try to share my slides. Okay, kejap. Is it visible?
Yeah, you can see your slide.
Can, all right, I go to the first slide. All right, can see, right? Okay, so we are here to talk about the innovation value chain and the phases. All right, but the phase that I want to focus very much is the STEM component, because that's my area. I've done a lot of STEM programs, as Puan Yati has mentioned in my CV, and I'm very passionate about it because it's very exciting, very exciting. So in today's presentation, I will touch about the innovation value chain. I will talk about the relevance of STEM education, 21st century skill. Puan Yati has also mentioned that I will touch, and I think this is very interesting. 21st century, what is 21st century skill and how is it going to affect careers of the future? I will share a little bit. I will also share some cases of STEM programs that we have done recently in the past 2 years, So just to excite you to see that, and also to see what you can, whatever I present, I want it to be relative to what you are doing. So especially students or even lecturers, I welcome your contribution to the programs that we are doing currently and we will be doing. So there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration. So that is why I want to share about our STEM programs. All this is, of course, relating to innovation. And finally, I will share some samples of innovation. Puan Yati also mentioned that I was involved in the evaluation of the James Dyson Award, that recent one, this year's one. And I would like to share some of the very interesting innovations developed by our students, Malaysian students. And also that you can also be doing that for the future James Dyson Award. Right, so I move on to the next slide. Can you see this slide? It's called the innovation value chain. Boleh, yeah?
Boleh.
All right, so this is, I think, maybe many of you have seen this, is presented by other speakers. So innovation value chain is something to do with the support activities which is required. That is technology, human resource, business, marketing, all right? And then below that, you see this is where the innovation takes place. Problem identification, idea generation, idea championing. Idea championing, if you notice, is marked. This is actually by Dr. Dr. Rahmat Shazi. Yeah? This slide was shared by him. He gave me because he uses this for his presentation. So I just want to reinforce. Probably you've already seen this. This is the 6th session. But maybe before this you have already seen. I just want to relate what my presentation, how it comes to, reinforce the idea of this particular chart. So idea championing is the idea pitching part. You have to pitch it to the relevant people, the investor, the stakeholder. They must be convinced. Only then they're going to put in the money. Once they have done that, then you implement the idea. So probably many of you are quite familiar and you know that this is the innovation value chain, right? One of the models. There are many, many models. This is just one of the models. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk about how this is important to innovations, right? So of course, this is another model. I mean, same thing. They talk about the primary activities, which is logistics, operation. So there are many, many models, but they all come down to the main thing, that is value, which is profit. All right. So right from the beginning, the value of the innovation, in this case, the value chain must be there first, all the various components. Finally, will be the profit. Some says margin, some says entrepreneurship, some says job opportunities. So basically, it has to have some kind of a value at the end as well. Okay. All right, but my main focus, my presentation is very much on the STEM part. So I want to bring this element of STEM. Why STEM is so important, especially for innovation, which is what I see is part of the innovation value chain. And this component can take place at every level. The earlier, the better, in fact. Earlier means as early as standard 1. Okay, even kindergarten, preschools are also introducing STEM education. Why? Because the earlier you are able to understand the concepts of science, engineering, maths, the better it is, right? So you are able to connect that into innovation. So once you have got a sound knowledge about chemistry, about, let's say, biology, about life sciences, about environment, then when you develop your innovations, you can see the connections, you can make the connections, and then you can see whether you're wasting your time with the innovation or it's something that is good to pursue further because you have the basic knowledge, right? So this is a very interesting chart, that I've used it very often. In fact, this is many, many years ago, this was presented by Padu. And then they see the connection. Why STEM? STEM, as you know, is science, technology, engineering, and maths. There are many reasons why it is being promoted. Okay, the main reason is because more of the students are showing less interest in STEM education. So the government have decided that STEM education must be emphasized to get more students involved, to go into science stream, and then from science stream, taking up all the science bases, big data, IT, medicine. There's a lot of biotechnology related medical professions that are emerging, nanotechnology. So there is a lot of skills that is required, a lot of job opportunities. So if we have little bit of, we have lack of students interested, then the country will be in big danger. Anyway, that was the reason why STEM is being promoted by the stakeholders. But what I want to say is, what is it for you? Okay, you as a student, why? Or, in your case, you're already in the university, so you have already chosen your career path. It's very clear. But what I see is that STEM can still be relevant even at this stage, even if you're not doing a STEM related course, right? So this is why I like this particular slide. If you see the first point, allows brainstorming for solutions. So STEM education actually is very interdisciplinary. That's something that I like. Interdisciplinary means it can talk about engineering, it can talk about space science, it can talk about entrepreneurship. So there's many disciplines that comes together, as opposed to previously if you study engineering, it's just engineering. All right. So STEM is very, very interdisciplinary, so that you have different people from different backgrounds brainstorming a solution. Okay, so if you see point number one, STEM allows, encourages, is part of this, very much branched. Number two, higher order thinking skills. I think when you were in schools, HOTS, you have already been using that as one of the tools, to promote higher order thinking skills. So STEM allows that. Number three, allows students to be innovative, right? So STEM has got this ability to come up or to teach kids, to innovate. STEM education, about all this. Then the next thing is enter competitions. When you enter a competition, innovation competition, you're supposed to come up with solutions. So STEM, we do that a lot, in fact, when I say we, later I will show you an example of what we do. So you become innovative through STEM. I'm not saying other disciplines doesn't, okay? Of course, even arts also, there's competition, memang, so everything, but STEM, the core activity of STEM is also innovation development, okay? Confidence, this is something that I've also seen, if a student, let's say a standard 2 student, a standard 2 or standard 3 student, is able to solve a problem, a STEM related problem, he feels that he's done something good, all right? And that builds his confidence. And he presents that idea to the class, and the teacher say, bagus, cantik, very, very good. Then it builds his confidence that he can solve problem, right? So this is the kind of education, this is the relevance of STEM education, So it builds confidence. And I've seen that myself when we do competitions or a project, and we ask them to design something and present it, and they say, wow, it's fantastic. You can solve this, you can come up with solutions. They're very, very happy. And what it helps, they become more confident. They say that, oh, if I can do this, I can do bigger things, right? So this is another one. Finally, STEM also encourages collaboration, right? So like between students, between all of you, will come together to solve problems, to undertake projects, collaboration. So this is one of the charts, that I like very much, because it doesn't just emphasize, oh, engineering is important, technology is important. We all know that. But like I say, there is beyond that basic, the subjects that are taught under STEM, these are the value that is brought together. So you can see that innovation is the key, one of the key things, allows students to be innovative. My next slide also reinforces this point, I just Google search to find out, and I came across this wonderful slide, and this is from the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Okay, I searched it and it says, wow, it's fantastic, because this is a platform where all innovations are uploaded and they organize innovation challenges. All right, so here, let me read out to you. What does it take to inspire innovation? Creativity. So they say point number one, of course, innovation and creativity goes hand in hand. You must be creative to come up with ideas. Okay, that's a given. But maybe you have not seen that STEM also, is another very interesting or important component. Here it says, using science, technology, engineering, and maths, which is STEM, as a core part of the innovation equation, allows individuals to take thoughtful, deep look at problems and create real-world applications for solutions. Here you go. So you see, so STEM is a very important component to innovation development. I think what they're trying to say is that you have to have sound knowledge in the sciences and across all disciplinary. You need not be an expert in everything, but you need to know, because of course today you can bring in the experts, but before you go on to the next stage of innovation, you yourself must be aware of the various disciplines or the subject matter that you're going to innovate. And right, how am I doing with time, Ponyati? It's time okay, yeah? Okay, I will move on to the next slide.
Sorry, another 5 minutes.
5 minutes more. Okay, okay. So this is the core issue. Now I'm trying to equate STEM with why innovation. So in my next slide, this is where earlier Ponyati also said that the country needs about 1.3 million workforce. This is actually a very old chart to show where we are. We are short of what you call manpower or talent skills in STEM workforce. That's all, that this chart matters. So in other words, there's lots of opportunities. So those who are already in the STEM field, very good. But of course, you must know what is current, what is needed. Maybe Dr. Faisal will have some inputs on this as well. He's very connected to the industry. But at the same time, if you're not STEM related, I believe there's also opportunities, for you to take other skills that, to go towards STEM, because the career opportunities are much greater. STEM also relates to the 21st century skills, right? So this is what I want to say. Okay, what is 21st century skills? Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity. And if you notice, a lot of this is also innovation based. All right, so in other words, 21st century skill and development of innovation goes hand in hand. Okay, so if you notice, but 21st century skill again is very relevant, because even after you graduate, you can continue to enhance your skill. Some call it lifelong learning, right? So because the industry evolves so fast, technology evolves so fast, so one has to be constantly updated with the latest technology. Right, so that's what 21st century skills is about. Here, I want to show you what we have done. We meaning me as a part of MACRI, Malaysian Association of Creativity and Innovation. We have got an outfit. We meaning I, together with a few of my partners, Dr. Rahmat Shazzi being one of them, Mr. William Elvis, and Encik Matnor. So 4 of us got together and said, let's establish a center to promote STEM education, since we already got so much of the resources. I'm going to show you some of the things that we do that maybe you can relate also in terms of innovation development. We are very happy with this center that we have. It is a community-based center to promote STEM education across all, from youngsters to teenagers to college students. This is what we have done in the past, right? This is all in our center, so lots of activities we have done. And we have got a lot of strategic partners, people who can do science-based, can do maths, can do drones, can do 3D printing. So they come to our center to offer these programs. So here there is an opportunity for students, that is all those who are on this platform today. If you have got an idea that you can teach people certain skills, STEM related, we welcome you. All right, or if you get an idea that you want to develop, we welcome you. Because this is what we have in our STEM center. This is a maker's lab. So here there are some 3D printers, there's a laser printer, there are tools. So if you've got an idea that needs to be fabricated, we need this kind of a support, right? So if you're in the university, I'm sure university have got such resources. But if you have got certain other special needs, we can see how we can help you in the innovation development. So you see the relationship STEM, technology, innovation, it goes hand in hand. So this is our makerspace, and this is the kind of activities that we do for kids. Okay, smaller kids at a very young age, they can fabricate things to make a magnetic spinner, for example, a simple motor, for example. It's a workshop, and the small fees that they pay, because materials are provided. So they take back some kind of a project they have done in about 3 hours. So if you notice, the program is 3 hours program, and they take back something. So, imagine if a 10-year-old kid comes to this place and he does something and he takes it back. So earlier I said it builds confidence, right? So imagine if you are the kid, at 10 years, you can do something that functions. You feel very proud, because you have solved it, you have assembled it. So I believe very much this helps in the innovation development in future projects, right? So these are for younger kids. These are the kind of activities we have done, not so bad. I mean, again, kids and Minggu Sains Negara, World Engineering Day. Now, many of you may have been involved in the celebration of World Engineering Day. This year, we will also be doing. So those students who are, let's say TVET or involved in engineering, we welcome you, because 4th of March, 2022, we will be doing World Engineering Day. So I would definitely like to invite Quiz as well as UNISEL to join us with lots of activities. So this is what we have done in 2020, just before the lockdown. Then the following year, this 2021 was all online. We did it online only. 2022, we will do it in a bigger scale. So I'm promoting this because I want your participation. I want your ideas, to be displayed at this platform. We're going to do it at the Technology Park, Malaysia. All right, so please bear in mind, we'd like to invite you. These are for kids. This is the drone challenges that we did, right? And now this is another program that is meant for students that like you all, those from UNISEL and Quiz. For example, train the trainers. This is an opportunity for the 21st century skill. Imagine you are a student studying business, management, some arts field. No harm. You can learn how to build a drone and you can learn how to pilot a drone. This is the program that we have offered. So we had about nearly 15 students, college students, coming to our center to learn. This program was sponsored by the state government, Selangor state government. So it was free for the participants. It's a 2-day program. So they come in the morning, they learn how to assemble a drone, they learn how to program it, and they learn how to fly a drone. All right. So to me, I believe this is the kind of skills, the 21st century skill. So if your drone can be made and can be flown, it gives you a lot of confidence. It allows you to say that, look here, you can solve other problems. Doesn't mean that you're going to go into the drone industry, not necessary, but you have an added skill, right? Okay, so this is an example, maybe if time is short, I can come back to this. This is the first part, kan, Puan Yati?
Yeah. Maybe you can continue to the next session, Mr. Ramesh.
Okay, so next session, I will continue about some of the interesting case studies. So with that, I will stop my presentation and pass it back to Puan Yati, yeah?
Okay, thank you very much for interesting introduction. And now we just realized that the STEM education is the key to manufacturing innovation. Okay, we will go through more detail on STEM education in the next session. If everyone has any question, I'm sure Mr. Ramesh will be pleased to answer them. Okay, to student on our YouTube viewer and also FB Live, if you have a question for Mr. Ramesh, you can ask directly in Zoom, or you may type your question in the comment box. Okay, so we go to the next speaker. Now I want to invite our second speaker, Dr. Faizal Hamid. Okay, the start of an innovation process, often an element of change. Okay, the discovery of an opportunity or some problem arising in industry and also real life. Okay, innovation includes ideas, championing, and the implementation of ideas in detail. Okay, with that, allow me to welcome Dr. Faisal Hamid to share something with us.
Good morning, everyone that's here. Okay. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share the little bit that I know about this topic. So yeah, at the get-go, what I'm going to say is that I'm just going to tell you my university where I graduated from, our tagline is Ancora Imparo. So what that means is I am still learning. So this is not a one-way thing. This is like all of us. So I'm still definitely learning, and I would like to learn from all of you as well. And I believe that is what innovation is about. We learn from each other. So let me share with you a little bit that I know. Okay, so for all the statistics and the technical stuff, I'm going to leave that to Mr. Ramesh because he's very good at it. So I'm just going to give you like the real, I guess you can say the real world point of view. Okay, so let me share with you this slide. Okay, there we go. So I'm just gonna have very few slides, but I will talk my way through it because and yes, Puan Yati, I get very passionate about this topic. So please stop me if I lebih masa lah. So
yeah, I will remind.
What is innovation? So okay, this is again I just found this online. So this is 4 definitions of innovation. Yeah, so it's work that delivers new goodness to new customers, new products and services that add value to the organization, turning an idea into a solution, executing an idea which addresses specific challenges, so on and so forth. The reason why I put this here is that it's very simple. 4 different people, 4 different definitions. So right from the get-go, I would say that there is no one specific definition of what innovation is, right? We do have a general idea, which is basically you are creating something that benefits society and organization. But from a business point of view, it has to benefit you also. Because, if you're doing a CSR or something, it's different. But if you're talking about profit, from a business point of view, it has to benefit you as well as the company. Okay. So moving on, okay. This is something I always like to say, okay. Innovation does not equal invention. You don't need to invent anything to be innovative. And it doesn't need to be groundbreaking. Look, let's be realistic. Okay, I'm going to say this about myself. I will never be Elon Musk. And I will never be Steve Jobs. Okay, those two guys, they changed the world, right? And we're not, but does that mean that I cannot be an innovator? Absolutely not. I can be an innovator. But I'm not going to be inventing something that's groundbreaking and changing the world, right? So, okay, I would like this to be as interactive as possible. So, for the audience and attendants, please jump in, give your comments and all that. So this picture down there, if someone could tell me, do you know what this is? So I'm just going to count on my hand before I give you the answer. Like 5, 4, 2, 1. Okay. I think all anak muda lah, they've never seen this thing. This is what you call a Gutenberg Press. So this is the first printing press that was made. Now, this it's always mentioned as like, wow, it's like the first time, we had a printing press. Yes, true. But did Johannes Gutenberg invent something new? He didn't. He took what already exists and he put it together as a machine. So in essence, he's an innovator. He's innovated something. Like you already have this kind of printing technique where you press the thing onto the paper and so on and so forth. What Gutenberg did is he put it into a device. Right? So this is innovation, one very early example of innovation. Okay. So now if you talk about 4 phases of innovation, okay, I'll go into a little bit of the technical part of things. So I believe Mr. Ramesh did mention something about this earlier. So mine is a little bit more in detail. There's a lot of words there. Again, referring to the first slide that I mentioned, 4 different people, 4 different definitions of innovation. Don't get too hung up on the words, on the concepts and everything. As long as you understand it, basically understand it. But as Mr. Ramesh was saying, you're creative. You are creative. You are an inquisitive mind and everything. That means more, right? So anyway, in the 4 phases of innovation. So yeah, you got phase 1, which is your ideas. So this is where you actually try and understand. Okay, what does the customer want? What's the problem? How do I solve this problem? Is it a technical issue? Is it a process? What do I do? So you brainstorm, you get all sorts of ideas and everything. And then you slowly start to put some meat on those bones, right? So you come up with it. Okay, like what's not going to work here? What's going to work here? How do I make this better? Does this cover a lot of people? Does it only cover a specific market, right? So this is your ideation stage. So after that, next thing is you go to concept. Okay, before I speak about concept, just to share again, I will go through this concept called design thinking later on. When you just again to share a small suggestion, when you do your ideation stage, right? So typically, you start off with like maybe 20 ideas, and then you go down to like 10, and then you go down to 5, and then ultimately you pick one idea. Now, here's the thing. The other 5 ideas, the other 4 ideas that you have, right, do not throw them away. Okay, keep those ideas there. Keep it on a whiteboard or something, because you never know when you're moving through the phases, right? You might just go, hey, wait, hang on, we're missing an important component. Hey, I've seen this component before. Where was it? Oh yeah, it was in idea number 4. Now, if you have thrown away your other 4 ideas that you came up with when you picked idea number 5, then you've just wasted a whole bunch of brainstorming that you guys did. So keep those ideas. You never know when you can refer back to it, right? So, okay, going to the concept. Now, the concept stage of it, or the phase of it, is important because like now you're taking the idea and you're building on it, right? So it's more in depth of what you look at in the first phase. So things like technical feasibility, what stops you from going into the market. Are you, very important, are you infringing upon anyone's intellectual property? Okay, just to share my personal experience, I'm not going to say where because it's not right, but it was one competition that I was judging, and this is well, definitely more than 2 years ago because it was actually a physical, we were there. And so I walked past this, one of the booths of the students, right? And they basically had used Angry Birds. So the birds with the color and the font and the music and everything, right, in their innovation. And so I asked them, I said, like, sorry, where did you get this? Where did you get, I just, as they say, buat bodoh lah. Where did you get this? Very nice lah, your idea, your colors, your characters, where did you get it from? Oh, we got it from a game. I said, oh, okay. What game did you get it from? I said, Angry Birds. So I asked them, I said, did you write in to Rovio, who is the creator of Angry Birds, and ask them for permission to use their intellectual property? And the student said, no, we didn't. So guys, that is a very dangerous thing to do, because if you use someone else's intellectual property without getting permission for them, you can get into a lot of trouble. Okay, so make sure you understand all these landscapes before you proceed into something, because as students, boleh lepas lah, companies will typically say, tak apa lah, it's okay, you're a student, we let you go. But let's just say you created something like a board game or something, right? And then like, I don't know, there are people who are interested in licensing your idea or something. But you use someone else's intellectual property. You use the name Monopoly, or you use a character from, I don't know, from Risk or Cluedo or something, right? And you didn't get permission from the owners of those intellectual properties to use their ideas. When you start going into the business and generating profit and so on and so forth, that is when the intellectual property owners will come to you and go, sorry, boss, you used my intellectual property without asking me. My lawyers need to talk to you. Okay, so be careful about this. Okay, moving along. For the solution part of the phases. So this is when you come up with a proof of concept or prototype. Now, a prototype, you're there, you got a proof of concept, now you need to test it. So you test it. Testing is not only testing the prototype in the lab, okay? You have to take this prototype, go out there on the street and conduct a random test, like a market survey, right? If you're shy to go out on the street and talk to people, it's fine. At least do it with friends and family. Hey guys, I have this thing. It's called a smartphone. This is how you use it. You touch the screen. What do you think? Right? You have to do that. Because why do you need to do that? Because the people that you are talking to are the ones who are ultimately going to pay money for this, who are going to buy it. So if they don't test it, what makes you think, if I have never tested this thing, right? Why am I going to pay 2,000 ringgit or 3,000 ringgit for it? So I want to test it first, okay? So very important to go out there, do this kind of things, refine your product. And then the final thing is marketing and sales. It's all about promoting, letting people know about it. Guys, this 21st century, sekarang 21st century kan? Yeah. Yeah. So we see there are thousands of products, thousands upon thousands of products and services and all that sort of thing out there. If you don't do good marketing and sales, right, your product is just going to get drowned in a sea of products that you see on Shopee or Lazada and so on and so forth. So this part of it is very, very important. Make sure you understand who is your target audience, and then create your marketing for that particular target audience. Yeah. So these are the 4 phases of innovation. Now, this part for me, very important. Okay. The weakest link, the chain at the bottom. Love this picture. It's very interesting. I've summarized a lot. Yeah. So, but I'm just basically going to focus on these 2 things. First one is one size does not fit all. Okay. Now, what is meant by this is very simple. What works for you might not work for me. What works for me might not work for Mr. Ramesh. What works for Mr. Ramesh might not work for the students, right? So it doesn't mean that just because, oh, you see, oh, hey, Apple, oh, very successful, they did this kind of viral marketing and that sort of thing. I'm going to do the same thing as well. No, not necessarily. Might not work for you. You need to understand what you are doing, who are your customers, what is your product, which is your market, what are your pros and cons, and so on and so forth, and create an innovation management solution that is suitable for you. You can adopt ideas and concepts from other people, but you need to make it your own. You need to modify it. Okay, you don't just take a turnkey solution and then hope that it's going to work for you. It most likely will not. Okay. Next. Okay. This one, finding the weakest link. So this is a very common thing, because we like to look at what our strengths are, right? So we always want to say, oh no, I'm really good at doing this. I'm really good at marketing. I make like really good chains and so on and so forth, using this picture at the bottom. But where's the weakest link in this chain at the bottom there? It's a paperclip. But kan nak tengok sebab malu kan? Like, hey, I make strong rantai, but there's a little paperclip there which I don't want to look at it. Sebab rasa malu, right? Just to share with you, okay, so so my company Instagram page, which I'm still doing, because I have a startup. Essentially, I have a startup company, right? So we are always conditioned to believe that, oh, I must always show my success stories on my social media. But my marketing and branding person, she actually told me, she said, no, put your failure stories there as well. And I was like, what? Why? Like, why would I talk about my failures? Because who wants to talk about their failures, right? But that's the thing. When you talk about your failures, one thing is you come across as being a bit human, so people can relate to you. And the second thing is you can also understand, oh wait, that was my failing point. Or that was where I wasn't very strong. That was the weak part of my business. And people also, you'll be surprised sometimes, right, where you get ideas or solutions from. It could be someone who is not related at all to what you're doing, who gives you the solution to your problem, right? So be open-minded, get ideas, and so on and so forth, right? And always try and understand, how do you strengthen, how do you become stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So, there we go. Okay. Now, another thing is, if you want to talk about negative plug, okay, so we've seen companies like Kodak, we've seen companies like Nokia, right? These 2 companies were giants. Blockbuster Video, you guys are young lah, you don't know what's Blockbuster, you don't know what's a VHS tape lah. Old people like me, we know what's a VHS tape. So back in the day, right, we had this thing where we had to rent VHS tapes lah, okay? So we would go to a shop, then we rent a tape, bring it back, watch the movie, then return it lah. Okay, so the company that was running that is called Blockbuster Video. Here we have Speedy Video, all right? So once, what do we call it? All these streaming services started coming in, like Netflix and all that kind of stuff, right? People like Blockbuster Video, they were like, way too big. Hey, we have Blockbuster Video, man. We're worldwide. Who's these Netflix guys? They're not gonna beat us. Who are they? Eventually, what happened? They had to shut down their business. Okay. Same thing happened with Kodak. Eastman Kodak, like the gurus of film, right? Film cameras. Now, here's the interesting thing, guys. I don't know if you know this, but who invented the digital camera? It was Kodak. So Kodak invented the digital camera, but they just kept it because they were like, no one's going to use this. Everyone's going to use film. What happened to Kodak? don't know where they are. So you have to change and adapt. So these two examples, Intuit and PG, summary is basically the thing about Intuit was the first one is they had a lot of ideas that they collected from the outside, but they had tons of ideas floating around, right? But they didn't know how to bring those ideas to the market, right? So when this CEO, Mr. Steve Bennett, he joined, right, he streamlined everything and he managed to get the process going and he generated that a lot of profit for them. So, revenues and profits, 47%, up 65%, which is wow. Second example, Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble, legendary company, they've been around for a long time, but they were always very good at developing products internally and bringing them out. But what happened with that is that they were always very insular, or always inside. We have our own ideas, we have our own people. So this is a different version. So when Mr. Lafley became the CEO, he created a system where get ideas from the outside, like the first one, right? So see, these are two different examples, but you can see that both are important. You need to develop your own ideas, but you also need to get ideas from the outside, right? So next thing, innovation. It is not expensive and it is not an invention, right? Okay, big difference. I'm not going to go into that much of detail. Please, by all means, there are many more publications out there that do a fantastic job explaining. Please read it and understand, right? In this picture, the one on the left, the Yankee candle, right? I actually saw this, when was this? Yesterday, right? And that's why I put it here. So Yankee Candle is a scented candle maker. And their candles are like really nice. So typically, okay, what do you do with a scented candle? Okay, the scented candle, light to fire, burn, right? Okay. What's the danger of doing this? You light a candle, you put it there, you forgot about it, kucing datang, knocks the thing, falls over, your table is on fire, right? Now, what's the brilliant thing about this Yankee candle thing? So simple. This is an innovation. They just took a halogen lamp and they put it above the candle. So that halogen lamp is your normal LED halogen bulb, GU10 bulb. It's hot, right? So because it's hot, it melts the wax. It melts the wax, the smell comes out. Done. So if your kucing goes and, okay, first thing is your kucing cannot knock this over because it's really heavy. And the second thing is, even if your cat knocks this over, just the wax is going to spill. Yeah, it's messy, but you can clean it up. Nothing's going to burn, right? So this is an innovation right there. You just took two things, an LED lamp or a halogen lamp and a scented candle, and you just put them together, right? So you don't need to spend millions of dollars creating like the new rocket that's going to go to Mars. Thank you, Elon Musk. It's just solving a problem. Innovation is solving a problem, right? And okay, these are just some of the myths, the cerita dongeng that you always hear about innovation. Innovation is about the newest thing. It's a solo activity. You can't teach innovation. It's top down. You can't force it. Change is always good. Innovation isn't for everyone, and the best idea always wins. There's actually more. I just took a few, right? So, okay. So in the interest of time, right, I'm just going to focus on one example, okay? Ponyati, do I have about 5 minutes more?
Yes, 5 minutes more.
Excellent. So I'm just going to focus on one. Yeah? Change is always good. We always hear this, we need to change. Okay, guys, please go online and read about the story of New Coke. Okay, so Coca-Cola, basically, I'll summarize it for you, but very interesting. In the 1980s, okay, before you guys were born, you young people, in the 1980s, right, Coca-Cola decided to create this new line of product, and they call it New Coke. Okay, so nothing wrong with a new Coke. Change is good. New Coca-Cola, for the 20th century. When they did that, their sales dropped drastically, right? And people and Coke, the executives at Coca-Cola didn't understand why. Because one of the things that they didn't really do was they didn't actually go to the market and talk to people. They just launched the product. Their marketing was like quite bad. Now, what happened was, the reason why their sales dropped is people went new code. What are you trying to say? That means what was wrong with the previous code, the old code? Are you saying that that wasn't good? Are you saying that this is better? You mean, was there a problem with that? Like, why? Like, what happened? So you see, you just by that, right? You created this problem for your business, for your profit and everything. So it was a disaster for Coca-Cola. They lost a lot of money, right? So change doesn't necessarily always have to be good. You can make changes, but you need to understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, and whether it's incremental, whether it's radical, and so on and so forth. So don't get sucked into any of these myths, right? You need to evaluate one by one and so on and so forth. Yes, there's a hands up from a participant. Sorry, I'm going to stop sharing my slides now. Hang on, because this would be the end of phase one. So, Ponyati, was there a question from someone?
I think there's no question from the box.
I saw an icon with the hand. That's why. But yeah, okay. I'm going to stop here. Well, there's 5 more minutes. Are there 5 more minutes? Then?
4 minutes more.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked you some question for Dr. Faisal. Me as an academician, how can we prepare our graduates to add holistic value to whatever they do, and so that they will become to drive innovation in the future?
Okay. So for some of the things that just off the top of my head, one thing is I'm gonna link what Mr. Ramesh said also just now. First thing is, do not work in silos, right? Oh, I studied engineering, so I only do engineering. I studied biotech, so I'm only a biotech person. Okay. If you look at my personally, right, my crazy experience, I did a PhD in biotech, right? Now, most people were like, hey, so you're gonna be lecturer? And I was like, no. I'm done. I'm done with academia, right? First job I got was with the innovation agency. And I remember, right, the first thing that happened to me on the first day of my job was, okay, so after this you do a business, the business plan, and then you need to do the cost benefit analysis, and then calculate the CAGR, and then get the marketing plan. I was like, marketing? To me, marketing is going to Tesco to buy things. But that is what happens when you work in a silo, right? You only focus on what you're doing. You cannot, right? So for the young graduates here, right, broaden your perspective, work with other people, talk to other people, get ideas. Sometimes, again, as I mentioned this many times before, your engineering problem solution will come from a person who's doing social science or political science, because they're looking at it from a completely different perspective. You are looking at it this way, engineering problem. And then the lawyer comes to you and says, hey, what about, like, why don't you change the packaging a little bit? And then you go like, oh my God, I didn't think of that. Because why? You were just looking at the engineering point of things, right? So talk to people. Don't be shy. Okay, very important when it comes to creating a startup, innovating and everything. Do not be shy to fail. Fail. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Fail as many times as you can, but learn. Learn from your failures and don't give up.
Okay.
Very important. Don't give up. Just keep trying and learn and learn. And then now, especially, right, for you guys, there's so many resources out there. There's so many good agencies. There's private, there's public, there's so many people to talk to. Mr. Ramesh, catch him. He knows a lot of things. Speak to him. You know where he is located now. It's in Diamond Mall in USJ. So go there, find these people, talk to them. Don't be shy. Just go and be confident about your idea. There's no such thing as a stupid idea, right? Do not believe it. And when people tell you, this idea is nonsense, it's not going to work. No. Like, pursue your ideas, and then you can try it out in Mr. Ramesh's place, in STEM Makerspace, right? So guys, go for it. Don't give up.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Faisal, for the sharing. Okay, now we can see the different perspective in innovation applied to the real world and also in the industry. Okay, thank you, Dr. Faisal. Now I want to go to our second round session. Okay, I will start with Mr. Ramesh again. Okay, Mr. Ramesh will discuss more about the process on how the STEM can help us to gain innovation. And maybe Mr. Ramesh will share a good experience from organizing STEM initiative program. To all, please welcome Mr. Ramesh Pillay.
Okay, thank you, Puan Yati. Right, so for this second part, as what Puan Yati said, I'll do more of sharing of some of the very interesting innovations, some of which I was also involved in the evaluation. So this is to inspire you. I think the first part, we talked about the theoretical part, the relevance of STEM education, and I also learned so much from Dr. Faisal's presentation, many things that we take it for granted. Actually, if you put it together, it's quite systematic, right? So if you see the systematic, the flow of the value chain as was presented by Dr. Faisal, from ideas to the, to the solutions, and as well as the market, and also the element of intellectual property rights. These are all very important components. In fact, IP itself, one, it can give you a lot of ideas, knowledge on the protection of your innovation. Number two, IP can also give you ideas as to what you can improve upon. So a lot of things, as Dr. Faisal also mentioned, it doesn't have to be like something out of the world, something that is, never been done, not necessary. That's very difficult, in fact. The easier one is improving upon the existing innovations. And this is being done very, very seriously by all organizations. Right, I had the privilege of visiting some intellectual property, participating in some IP programs in Japan. And they also took us to one organization called Matsushita to show how innovation is there. And to me, that's very inspiring, because what they do is they actually improve upon the ideas. They've got huge number of ideas, and then the engineers and the innovators, they sit in together and see what they can do to improve upon it. So the message here I want to convey to all our participants is that that is also a way of generating ideas. Visit the IP portfolios or intellectual property or patents, like in this case. If you just put there US patent, all right, you can see that there's so many innovations that are already patented, and it's open there. It's available. So your ideas can actually be improved upon by looking at other people's innovations, right? So this is one of the things that I also gather from trying to connect from what Dr. Faisal has mentioned, when you look into the IP aspect. All right. So again, going back to my slides, I will try to go back and show you what I would like to present. Let me go to my share screen first. All right. Is the screen available?
Yeah.
All right. All right, great. So this is one of the very interesting innovation challenge. Have you all heard of the James Dyson Award?
Yeah.
Maybe you can just chat. We want some interaction. So Puan Yati can also monitor, because I can't see the chat box now. If yes, just say yes. So I can see, one.
Some of them say no, never seen this, this kind of award.
Okay, I must share this with you, because when I was invited to do this, they told me, can I get more participants? I said, sure, I will. So I actually send a lot of invitations to the people that we work very closely. That means mostly the university, because this challenge is open to university students every year. So 2022 will also be done. I'm waiting for the notification, and I'll then send it. Now that I have got quiz and as well as UNISEL in my list, I will definitely invite you to participate. Why? Because the challenge is very, very open. It is not very complex. It is open to engineering and art students, that engineering and design students. All right, and the challenge is very, very broad, and the prizes are very, very attractive. All right, first prize is a Malaysian level. First prize is 30,000. Right, and you go on to the international. You make it to the finals, the world at the international level. The price is 160,000 USD. Sorry, 160,000 RM. Okay, so the prizes are very interesting, and of course the recognition, you get certification and all that certificates from this. So James Dyson Award to me is one of the interesting ones. What I want to show you is some of the very good examples. Let me try to see a video. In fact, I think I have a video by the founder of James Dyson. Do you all know who this guy James Dyson is? Anybody can just say yes, no in the chat box. Or how many of you can say yes? Have you heard of James Dyson?
James Dyson is the brand I know, but then the award, I've never heard of it actually.
Okay. The award is quite recent, I think for the past 4 or 5 years. Now, why I am very inspired, because this man, James Dyson, in fact, now he's called Sir. Sir James Dyson, if I'm not mistaken, is a billionaire. And he's an inventor. Most important is he's the inventor of the Dyson vacuum cleaner. Very revolutionary. He's the same. Dyson, the brand Dyson is actually James Dyson. He's the inventor. So from an inventor, he became an entrepreneur. So very inspiring for all of us, especially on this topic, because very rarely you see an inventor becoming a billionaire. Most inventor becomes a pauper. That means pauper means bankrupt. Right? Most of them, they become bankrupt because they invested so much. Very rarely, some make it into a millionaire. But this guy, Sir James Dyson, is a billionaire, and based only on his invention. Okay, so from the vacuum, then he's got a few other spin-offs. I think they have got a hair dryer, which is yes. So very high tech, very effective, because the innovation there is completely new. All right, so that is why I'm sharing this, James Dyson. So let me see if I can we can hear him, not his message. His message is to all those who are going into invention. So I want this to be kind of like inspiring to you. Let me try and see if I can play his video. Yep. Okay, if I go to okay, if I play this, I think I may stop first dulu. I stop sharing. Okay, then I go back to share screen. Okay. Are you all able to see this?
Yeah.
Okay, how about the volume? Volume, okay.
You need to press the play button.
Oh, okay. That means wait, I stop this first. Stop the share. I have to go here. Screen. Okay. One moment. Let me get this right. Share sound. Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
All right.
Design awards are usually about making products that look beautiful, but that's only a tiny part of the story. For me, the importance of the award is to solve a problem. Question things, challenge things. I've always truly believed that young people want to change the world, and that's absolutely right, they should do. And it gives them the confidence that they can literally do that. Winners get the notice they need to move forward with their idea. And I think it gives investors confidence as well.
Okay. All right. So you can hear, right? Ponyati, is the volume okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. All right, so you see some of the things that Dr. Faisal has mentioned is also reinforced by Sir James Dyson. That is change, so he's trying to empower you kids, you youngsters, that, change is constant. And, so the fact that he has already made it, what is interesting is that Sir James Watson actually, Dyson actually moved his office to Singapore. And if you just Google search him, he has got the most expensive condo in Singapore. It's a 3-story suite, on one of the most luxurious condominium, development in Singapore. That shows the power of invention. I'm just trying to inspire you that, this single invention of the vacuum cleaner, and of course, his marketing skills, his branding, his packaging, they're all fantastic. So all those things that was mentioned by Dr. Faisal and myself earlier has, it transforms into this one good example. All right. And so here you have Sir James Dyson trying to inspire you, right, to participate. So the moment I received notification of the 2022 challenge, if I mentioned, the grand prize is £30,000. So it's very exciting. So let's see some of the examples, let's see some of the examples that he has also created. All right. So I mean, examples of our students, So I'll stop share and I'll go to the slides again. Sorry. Screen this. Share. Okay, are you able to see this?
Yes, Mr. Ramesh.
Okay. So this is the 2021 award. If I look at the poster, it looks quite simple. So it just says spot a spot a problem. So the poster says solution. So that's all. I like the idea because it's very simple, not very complex, very little words, so they are visual. Of course, they have some of the best designers, such a big company, they can afford to, very good designers. So this is their poster. All right. Yeah, so their poster was there. Let me see. Okay. All right. This is the winner, for 2021. This was the chosen winner. In fact, we shortlisted 3. And this winner, the invention is called water pot. All right. And if you look at it, why we chose this is because the design is very, very interesting, very well done, very, very professional. And these are college, university students from Asia Pacific Institute of Technology. All right, 3 students, they submitted this entry. What this invention is about, it's about creating water from the seawater, salt water desalination. There's a lot of salt, so you can't drink seawater. So this is doesn't require any, source of energy. How it works. All right, this is how it works. There's a lot of, so what I would like to share with you is the presentation itself. You see, it's very, very professional, and it's only university students, right? So just to inspire you, this is what we as judges, when we looked at it and say, wow, it's fantastic. And also the invention is very simple and functional. Initially, I was saying, why do we need this? Because in Malaysia, water is not a problem. Then we found out that because this is for a certain community that's living in the sea, that apparently even in Sabah, there are some residents living in the floating houses. All right, so water supply is a problem. Therefore, with this system, using solar heat, it evaporizes the salt water, seawater, turns it into fresh water. All right. So from the STEM perspective, of course, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of sciences there that you need to know. This, I think, is quite clearly understood, and you can, of course, Google search and improve the knowledge in order. That is doable. But if you have a good STEM understanding, at an early age, if you're good in your sciences, then you find that it will be even faster and more efficient, right? In fact, the idea also become clearer to you right from the beginning. Why? Because you know the sciences, you know how desalination works, you know about the principles of, let's say, gravity, you know about solar energy. So that's how I see the connection. The quality of an invention or an innovation will be enhanced if we have got good understanding of science. Right? If you don't have an understanding of science, I doubt you could have ever come up with this, because let's say if you're just very not interested in science, this kind of inventions will be very difficult to imagine. Isn't that so? Yeah. All right. So this is the one that we chose. We chose this to be the top Malaysian invention for the James Dyson Award 2021. Then we gave 5 for the panel to nominate to the international level. So when the panel, this is the panel, that means the international panel, I think headed by Sir James Dyson himself. When the panel evaluated, they found that this invention is even more interesting. All right. So they chose this to represent Malaysia. And this is called Citra the Bio Leather, which is what I mentioned to Dr. Faisal during our recent briefing. And Dr. Faisal too was very impressed, because it's a very simple kind of an invention or innovation using waste lemon peel, in this case, lemon peel, to create leather. This is done by a university student and from University Science Malaysia. Again, if you look at her, she's very young, just like all of you students. Today we have, I saw about 69 participants and a lot of students. So you can be as good or even better than Menlin Ayatul Fitria. All right, so let's just call her Fitria. So Fitria's invention is very simple. But again, I think the reason why she's able to do it is because she knows her sciences. She knows the properties of, in this case, lemon peels. She knows something about it. Only then she can come up with the idea, right? So let's take a look at what she has created. So, and also her presentation was very nice. If you look at it, it looks very, very professional, right? So she definitely has got others who have helped her probably. But that's not the case. The important thing is she's very, very resourceful and has come up with it. So if you are a judge, in this case, we were the judges, we looked at it and say it's a very good presentation, very clearly understood, and the way she has put all the visuals, and this is her own design. So if you look at it, these are all peels, lemon peels, limau lah, yeah, so the way she processed it, I'll try to show you a video also, Okay, no, I don't. Okay, I'll go into a video. I think we have enough time, kan, Puan Yati?
Yes, we have another 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes, okay, good. So let's see what Fitria has actually created, and she's presenting in a video, which is only about 3 to 5 minutes. One moment, let me stop this. I go back to share screen. Okay, scopes. It seems to go back to okay, is this visible?
Yeah, we can see the slide.
Okay, you can see the slide. And this is called, this slide, can you see the next one? It moves to the video. Play.
Yeah, you can play the video.
Okay, great. So I'll play the video, right?
From the statistic, 60% of the MSW constituted food waste, including fruits and vegetables. The vegetables and fruits that are being grown in Malaysia also undergo some industrial processing. For example, the production of canned fruit, fruit juice, and as a flavoring. Due to the high consumption and industrial processing of the edible parts of the fruits, fruit residues, principally the peels and the seeds are generated in large quantities. So I start with challenge myself, and this had led me to the path of reusing and creating the fruit waste to another material, which is citrus peels. By doing some research from it, and I could see there was potential within it. So I went through different experiments to produce the bioleather with organic binders. So when I found a formula, from there I believe that if this material, Citra the bioleather, CBL, can be enhanced further, it can be used as multi-purpose products. For the end of the product, using CBL as a kit for a set of skincare product named Citra. So the beauty industry also one of the industry that contributing excessive and unnecessary waste that are not eco-friendly and can cause harm to the earth. So CBL is particularly suited for reusable items until it meets their end of life cycle. People tend to forget the packaging after buying things. From there, I created a design that is simple, handy, and reusable packaging. So to design the Citra by using CBL as the main material in a skincare set essential kit packaging, it was inspired by the shape of oranges cut into bottles form. So the design packaging is suitable for 3 small bottles of skincare set. The chosen color was the original color from citrus peels to represent earth colors. So through this project, there will be focus on experimentation in making the CBL and assemble it together with natural adhesive. Citra bioleather packaging is the main target for those who are environmentally conscious, interested in eco-friendly and sustainable things products. CBL will take months to decompose. In a home compostable environment, it can degrade back into soil within months. There's value in waste, and we should be looking towards waste products rather than virgin materials if we could. As a product design student, this is my contribution. One step in reducing waste is one step towards humanity.
All right. That was the video done by Fitria. Is my audio okay, Ponyati?
Okay, it's good, Mr. Ramesh.
Okay, great. So this is what I wanted to share. So there's a lot of interesting lessons to be gained, from this particular one. From my perspective, as I mentioned earlier, and also Ponyati has mentioned, I've evaluated a lot of invention competitions, and this is the first time I'm doing it for James Dyson Award, and I was very impressed, right? You can see the quality of their presentation, and every other inventions that were presented also was similar. Very, very good quality of presentation. The way they narrated the idea, right up to the expectation. This is still work in progress. Doesn't mean that this invention is ready for commercialization. As Fitria has herself mentioned, she's still going to do some more research because it's still at a concept stage, All right, there's a lot of things about lemon. Of course, it will die by, imagine you are carrying it as a purse after a few days, it gets soaked in water, it dissolves. So they have to improve all that, so it's still in work in progress. But nevertheless, it's a very good concept and there's a lot of potential, right? So this is what I want to inspire all of you, right? So I also wish to inspire you to say that you can be the next award winner for James Dyson's award, right? And the example that Fitria has shown is a very good, simple, and effective presentation. I hope all of you who watched it are inspired, by this. Right? Let me see if I can just go on and see more of the other ideas, So this is what was all presented. And this is the in the James Dyson award. What do you call? Let me see here. All right. So this is. Let me just show you a few other slides here, because as I mentioned, sometimes in order for you to be inspired to get new ideas, you can also visit other sites. And this is one such site, So if we go to here, let's say, for example, if I go to the 2021 entries, under the James Dyson Award, you can see all the submissions, all right? So you can see that this is the photo. I can share the link later. I will share this link in the chat group so that you can also watch out for the announcement of the 2022 award. If you go into this site, you can see a lot of ideas. This is so that you can also improve upon your presentation skills. It's very important. Like I said, we judges, we have got very little time and we are sometimes very impatient. So kalau the penjelasan is not very good, we just skip and say, okay, this person is not ready. Why? Because there's another 50 more ideas for us to evaluate. So you have to be doing very well. So this is to show you some of the international winners. The grand prize winner is this product called Hopes. I think this is from Philippines. The winner is from Philippines, and he gets the 30,000 pounds. So here, Chitra, Fitri has made it to the top 20. Her invention is also highlighted here. National winner, our Malaysian one, is the water pot. So if you go through here, you can see there's a lot of other inventions. All right, so this should be one of your referral points, like those who are seriously coming up with ideas, either for your college level competition or national competition or even project presentations. You have to refer to some of it. And I would suggest that, this is one of the very good ideas. Let me copy this link. All right, and then later I will post it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I think I will try to conclude this part of my sharing. Right, so I'll go back to, I will stop the share here. Okay, and I'll go back to my slides. Okay, actually I've come to the end of my slides as well. So my last slide is very much sharing Fitri's invention of the bio leather, which is made from them. So to conclude, I would like to thank all of you for your participation in this wonderful seminar or webinar on the innovation value chain, connecting the phases. And my point is that STEM education is one of the very important phase in the value chain of innovation. And STEM education ideally starts from a very young age. But even you graduates who are going to specialize in different fields, I believe STEM has got a role to play, especially if we talk about the 21st century skills. And 21st century skills, as I mentioned earlier, what is 21st century skill? Just to recap, because I think this is the most relevant part. When you mention about 21st century skills, it is about critical thinking, it's about collaboration, it's about communication, it's about creativity. Creativity leads to innovation, right? So if you're very creative, you'll be constantly thinking of how to change this, how to do this, how to come up, how to solve this problem. In solving such problems, you will come up with innovations, right? So with that, I will pass it back to Puan Yati, and I would like to have a very engaging session. So feel free to ask questions, feel free to suggest something or something is not clear. I'll be happy to, to answer your questions together with Dr. Faisal. All right. So
okay, thank you, Mr. Ramesh. I want to ask you one opinion. Okay, sure. There are some statement here. They said that Malaysia small and medium-sized enterprises (SME) are facing human capital development issue due to unskilled employees. Okay, so the Institution of Malaysia Education are providing ineffective STEM education, which are generating unskilled graduate as a future workforce. Okay, so what is your do you agree with that statement, Mr. Ramesh?
Okay, I lost the connection for a short while. I don't know whether, yeah, it says my internet connection is unstable. Can you?
Do you want me to repeat?
Yes, please repeat.
Okay, Mr. Ramesh, there is one statement stating that Malaysia's small and medium-sized enterprises (SMEs)
Yes.
are facing human capital development issue due to unskilled employees. Okay, so they said that the Institutes of Malaysian Education are providing ineffective STEM education, which are generating unskilled graduates as a future workforce. Okay, do you agree with this statement, Mr. Ramesh?
I've also heard from many sources, true, from the industry, we have also heard that, the graduates are not very employable because their set skills is not what the industry is looking at. Yes. So if your question is agreeing, I think I have to agree because we have also heard it from a lot of industry players. Betul.
Okay. I think there was any okay.
Maybe I can
one more question, Mr. Ramesh. Okay, from Khairi Afiq. Okay, is it suitable that can we just put our product name as smart or intelligent in front of to show that our product is innovation product? What's opinion?
Okay, this will be my personal opinion. There's no right or wrong. Because others will have their own opinion, which can also be right and wrong. So to use the word smart or intelligent is commonly used. So, but then again, in my opinion, it's become so common that everything is smart, everything is intelligent. All right. So it is like a given lah. Macam biasa dah, right? So smart doesn't mean that intelligent doesn't. To me, it doesn't give any clear indication. So that the product description by itself probably, would be very much more important. So it is not wrong. So my answer is it is not wrong. Maybe in certain case, it immediately gives the impression that this must be a very high-tech invention. In that case, it may work. But some people the skeptics will ask, what is so smart? What is so intelligent? Every product is so smart. Every product is intelligent. Nobody is going to say that my product is not intelligent. So macam it's a given, right? So this one, you have to weigh the pros and cons.
Okay, Mr. Ramesh, we have one more question. Okay, from Amir Rizwan, from UNISEL. I think one of the challenges of innovation is the fear of failure. Right. So my question is, how do we overcome the fear of failure itself, although failure is necessary for growth?
Okay. So yes, so you have partly answered the question. Yes, failure is necessary. Like a lot of preachers, say that you got to fail in order to learn to improve. So the first part, yes, is answered. Yes. So failure is okay, it's acceptable. But the solution or the better way to move forward is to learn from the failure. All right, what had gone wrong, why it has gone wrong, and then fix that failure. All right, so which means one has to be very diligent. Diligent means you must do it in a very methodological, very systematic way. All right, so some of the tools, there are a lot of tools there. I think Dr. Faisal probably is more, has got more experience in sharing what kinds of tools that you can do to measure, especially in this case, if it has failed, Therefore, using that learning experience, then you can improve upon it, right? At the same time, there can also be another method that if it has failed completely, maybe it's also time to review that this invention is not good at all. Let's start something all over. That is also possible. Sometimes, the problem is that you're so very passionate about one invention, and you spend so much of the time. Many people have shared their opinion, and yet you feel that you can overcome, but you've spent so much of the time, resources, and so you have lost a lot of money. And we have seen that among a lot of our inventors. Many years ago, we have experienced this. They spent there was one very, very, very passionate person. He had quite a thriving company. He was operating buses. And he sold all his buses, to actually fund his invention. Eventually, he didn't make it at all. So he's lost all his business. So here again, if we use that same method, failure, all right. So he has failed probably once, twice. Use that failure to see what can be, what actually has gone wrong. I think today we have got more tools to measure, we got more experts to be consulted. So the question that was asked, yes, failure is a part of all innovation, but the important thing is to learn carefully, learn very well how to, overcome this failure. Okay.
Okay. That's all. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh, for the answer.
On that
and
one point, Puan Yati, earlier you
Yeah.
mentioned about the industry not having sufficient manpower. The
Yeah.
answer given was yes, because but then there's also a
Yeah.
solution to it, you know. The solution is that after they have graduated, they can actually continue to upskill their talents according to what the industry needs, you know. I believe now a lot of universities or even industries, like when you go for internship, but internship is already like, you know, you're just fulfilling, it's an obligation to put to practice what you have learned into a particular industry. That's not, I mean, that is a normal thing, you know, but perhaps there are some universities that offer industrial training. That means you go
Most
on,
of them.
they have, so you go on an attachment, and then those skills that the industry is what one is needing becomes your sets, your skill sets. Then you become more employable because you know how the industry operates, what is needed, you know. So that means from graduation, you don't go straight to the industry. You have to spend some time being trained to what the industry is needing. Then when you go to that industry, your employability becomes higher. So maybe that's a solution to it, you know. So just now the answer is yes, but then also there could be solutions.
There's solution for that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh. Okay. For your answer and recommendation. Okay. Now is our last session from Dr. Faizal. Okay, Dr. Faizal will discuss more on the process and challenges of innovation in reality point of view, committing to industry and real life. Okay. Without further ado, welcome Dr. Faizal. The mic is yours.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Puan Yati.
Okay.
Before I share the slides again, I'm just going to refer to the two questions and add to what Mr. Ramesh said. So for Tuan Khairi, okay, so in regards to, do you just put smart intelligent in front of your product? Okay, Bang, I ask you a simple question. What is this? This is a, you can't see it. All right, okay, there we are.
Yeah, your smartphone.
Thank you, Puan Yati. It's a smartphone, right? So this is called a Samsung Galaxy S9. What if they put a Samsung Smart Galaxy S9? It's like, I know it's a smartphone. You don't need to tell me that it's smart, right? So as Mr. Ramesh said, it depends on your product. It depends on what you're doing. Like if something is already smart or intelligent, you don't need to say it. And then kalau the product is not, there's no intelligent or smart in your product, but like, okay, take the brilliant lady who created the bio letter. There's no smart or intelligent in that product. Imagine if you call it smart leather, you'd be like, what? Kalau aku pakai macam Spider-Man ke? Tak kan? But is it a great innovation? My God, it is. It's brilliant, right? So in that sense, in that case, she doesn't need to use smart or intelligent, right? So it's a case-by-case basis. So you know, it is like when we see the product, you say, oh, nano. You know, 5 years ago, nano was like the in word lah. So nanotechnology, nanoparticles, nano this, nano that. Sekarang kita tengok this word nano is like, everything also is nano, right? So don't get too caught up in like the terminology. It's more important that you understand your product and people understand what you're trying to get across. That's more important. For Tuan Amir, how do you overcome the fear of failure? Well, honestly, there's no one particular answer, but Mr. Ramesh summarized it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You have to fail because when you fail, sometimes, right, is when you learn. And then when you learn, for the startup and the startup scene, right, we always say you must learn to pivot. So pivot means you're walking straight, you turn, you turn, you turn, you turn. Quickly, change. You know, adapt, overcome. So if you don't fail, sometimes you just jalan buta, just walking straight. I'm going to be successful. At the end of your journey, you're like, oh my God, I completely lost all my money. I've lost everything already. So learn to fail and just overcome the failure, get the learnings from it, and then you will get your success. So don't be afraid to fail. Actually, in regards to Mr. Ramesh's example of James Dyson, To share it with you all, ladies and gentlemen, he is worth 9.4 billion US dollars. Okay, very nice, small number lah, 9.4 billion, not much, kan? If you read his story, Sir James Dyson, sorry, you see the number of times that he failed, but he never gave up. He kept trying, and the thing is, he learned from his failures, right? So that's very important. Okay, now I'm going to share my slides with you for part 2. Okay, part 2. So I'm going to be looking from innovation to market lah. Okay, so now you've got this brilliant innovation, you've got all this, let's just say you've got an invention as well. Now, how do you take it to the market? Why do you need to take it to the market? Hey, come on, guys, we all want to make some profit, right? That's the whole idea of this. Okay. First thing, I think Mr. Ramesh mentioned this. I'm going to take it a little bit further. Presenting your idea or your product. You've got a great product, but you cannot present it to people. Okay. In this slide, this is what you call an elevator pitch, right? An elevator, and I strongly recommend it to all of you young people there, right? Practice doing this, an elevator pitch, right? Because as Mr. Ramesh said, and I'm also sharing with you, investors don't have time to listen to your written, what's it called? Your long story of 30 minutes and slides and this and that. Let me give you a scenario, okay? Now, let's just say you are in, or I don't know, Wanokama shopping center. You go into the lift in B2, the parking lot, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, that's James Dyson, he's right next to me. And you have an idea on how to improve a vacuum cleaner. Let's just say you're using a water filter in the vacuum cleaner. Now, sorry, Mr. Dyson, sir. Yes, so I'm inventor of a water-based vacuum cleaner. I would like to present my idea to you. And he says, okay, I'm going to the 4th floor. You have 30 seconds. Talk. You have 30 seconds to convince Sir James Dyson about your idea. Because when the lift reaches the 4th floor, the door opens, he's either going to shake your hand and say, okay, we got a deal, or he's going to say, thank you very much, goodbye, have a nice day, and walk out, right? So learn to explain your idea in 30 seconds to a minute and keep the relevant points that you don't need to talk about, you know, oh, we're going to generate this profit, this is my cost benefit analysis. No need. It's straight to the point. This is my idea. This is the problem that I want to solve. This is how it's beneficial to people. Straight to the point. Learn to do this, right? And please stay away from terminology. Technical terms, terminology, don't use it. Albert Einstein, this guy, I don't know whether you've heard of this guy named Albert Einstein, he was a scientist. Okay, one of the most brilliant people to have ever lived. He said, if you cannot explain it to a 6-year-old, then you don't understand it yourself. So think about it. You need to keep it as simple as possible, to explain it to people as simple as possible, but you get your point across. Okay, I'm going to share it with you guys. Please go on YouTube and search for these 2 shows called Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, right? I can tell you that is how investors will be. I mean, that one is a bit extreme because it's reality TV, but typically you will get investors like that. Brutal, right? And you need to convince them, you need to talk to them and tell them, I'm confident of my idea, this is what I'm going to do, and so on and so forth, right? So, you know, learn your presentation skills. It's very important. Okay, 2. This one, okay, so guys, I'm sure you guys have come across this term UI UX, right? Okay, typically, where do you see UI UX? Software, web applications, you know, that kind of thing, because user interface, user experience. True, it started off as a software thing and an app thing, right? But what I'm saying to you now is, why is it only limited to apps and to websites? User interface and user experience. This should be in your products as well, your invention, because how does someone interact with something and what is their experience when they're using it? Okay, now this is very, very important. As you see the little message that was given there by Mr. Jonathan Widowski, the CEO at NIST. He said, Steve Jobs is saying that one of the main things about an Apple product is going to an Apple store. That is an experience. It's part of the experience of owning an Apple product, is going to the Apple store and seeing how everything is laid out, talking to their experts and so on and so forth, right? That's part of the entire experience. So you want to give your potential customer, your user, this sort of experience. Now, guys, I'm going to assume that everybody here has bought something from IKEA at one point of time or other. Okay. Now, if you go to IKEA, what are they famous for? If you buy their furniture, flat pack. You buy a writing table or a bookshelf or something, it comes in a flat, nice box lah, which you put in your cart, right? Korang pergi dekat Shopee, dekat Lazada, you can also buy flat pack furniture from China, from local manufacturers. You can get them. I bought furniture. In fact, my office chairs also I bought from Lazada, right? But here's the thing. The user experience for some of these products that I bought is really bad. Why? Because their user interface for those products was terrible. What was the user interface that was so terrible from these products compared to IKEA was the instruction manual. One really good thing about IKEA does it so well, is their instruction manual. Do you see how some of their furniture, the one panel has got like this, and then the other panel has got like that, and then you got to carpet it and then put the screw and everything? The IKEA instruction manual actually draws it. When you look at the picture close enough, you see one panel looks like this and one panel looks like this. But a lot of people don't, they just assume that, tak apalah, kau mesti faham lah, it's logic. No, you cannot. So, see, that is an example of a very successful company. Their UI UX is so good. IKEA, I love it, right? Okay, I'm going to play this video for you and I'll explain why.
Babies, here's my new scissors. Then you realize that the scissors come in a plastic packaging that closely covers the scissors. And you can't get in unless you have scissors.
Okay, did you guys hear that?
Babies, here's my new scissors.
So
then you realize that
this is my personal nightmare for a user experience. How many of y'all have bought scissors like this that comes in this, sorry for my language, this stupid packaging called clamshell packaging, right? The whole reason why you want to buy scissors is to cut things. Now, if a scissors comes in this, how do you open this? You need another pair of scissors to cut open the scissors, right? And the whole reason why you bought a pair of scissors is because you don't have scissors. That's why I love that comedian just now that I showed. He highlighted it the first time, and I was thinking, yeah, true, huh? The whole reason why I'm buying scissors is because I don't have scissors, but I need a pair of scissors to open these scissors. Now, this is a terrible experience for me, right? As a user, I'm not going to buy this anymore. I would never recommend this to anyone. And can you believe it? This is like one of the things that we come across now is called wrap raids or package raids. You actually see videos, right, of people trying to open these kind of packages and getting all angry and everything, and it's crazy. So, this is the kind of thing that you want to avoid for your product, because if you give a user such a bad experience, chances are they're just going to go on social media and say, jangan belilah this Dr. Faisal punya product, teruk lah. It drives me crazy. I can't even use the product. And that's it, guys. Let me put it to you very simply. Nowadays, right, it takes years for you to build up your brand and to build up your marketing, but it can take 5 seconds for you to destroy everything that you've done. With one bad review or bad comment or something, right, from someone like a social media influencer or something who says your product is terrible or had such a bad experience using it, you're going to have it can ruin things for you, right? So, this is very important, right? That how you interact with your customers. Okay. This is an example. I put 3 pictures here of bad user interface. In the first picture, the water cooler, right? Guys, hot water and cold water. Hot water is red lah. Cold water is blue lah. This black and white means what? Is it filtered, unfiltered? Is it hot water, cold water? Is it water dengan kopi O panas? I don't know. How am I supposed to test what is what unless I turn the thing on or I put my hand there? Why can't they just put it as red and blue? So this is an example sometimes of going back to what I said, right? Change does not always mean it's good. You don't need to always be different from people. Sometimes people are just used to red is hot, blue is cold. Just follow it, right? Don't try and change everything in a product that you're doing. Second example, tandas. Okay, I'm sorry. For older people like me lah, I'm just like, can you please just put an M for male and W for female, or put the male and female. You put this kind of logos. I'm like, you know, and especially when you really need to go and you're like you're dancing, right? And you're like, hey, mana ni, which one is the guys one, which one is the girls one, which one do I need to go to? So this gives you a really bad interface with people, right? Third example, why I put the My Sejahtera code there? Okay, we all have been using My Sejahtera codes for the past 2 years now. You guys ever come across this problem where someone has laminated the My Sejahtera code, the QR code, or they put it behind a shiny glass, and you're doing this dance with your phone because you're trying to scan the code and going with the angles and everything? Why are you complicating this? Why don't you just print the My Sejahtera and put it there? Kenapa kena laminate? Or why do you put it behind a shiny glass? When you do that, you just give people a really bad experience, bad interaction with the product, which is otherwise really good, right? So these are just small examples, but it makes a difference when people, because again, there are so many products out there, right? You don't want your product to just drown in this kind of like problems, okay? So one of the ways that you can overcome these kind of things is when you use design thinking. Now, design thinking, very important, because design thinking for me, right, it makes you put yourself in the shoes of the user. So guys, my small advice to you is when you are designing something, you're coming up with your innovation and so forth, right? Always ask yourself, how would I use this? Would I like this product? Would I enjoy interacting with? What do I not like about this? Put yourself in the shoes of the people who are using it, right? So if you don't like the design, what makes you think other people are going to like it, right? If you're not happy holding this thing, what makes you think other people are going to like it, right? So put yourself in their shoes, empathize with people who are using it. So again, I'm not going to go into the details of design thinking. Please read. There are tons of articles out there. There are really good schools that are teaching design thinking. Learn it and try and apply it in what you're doing. So it's basically empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. And it's not a linear process. You keep going around, going back, going around, going back, right? And design thinking, brilliant. Let me show you an example of what you can do with design thinking. Okay, this is an MRI machine. Now, if any of y'all have been through an MRI, I can, or if you haven't, I can tell you it is a very scary experience, because you're basically lying down on this tray here, and you're like just like that, and you're alone in the room. The technician is outside, and he's just going, please don't move, and you're just lying there, and then you go through that circle, which is just like about that close to your face, and you hear this tap, 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 tap sound. And so as adults, right, it is scary for us. Imagine for kids. It is a nightmare. So how it was being done before us, because kids are obviously going to be moving, right? So when you move, the image will not be clear. That's why you need to lie down still. So some of the things that were being done was they would strap the kid down into the MRI machine. Now, are you trying to do a medical procedure or torture this kid, right? And then imagine the trauma that the kid is going through. Like, you're being strapped, you're being tied down into this thing. The kid thinks he's being punished. Now, the guys at MIT, through design thinking, they just came up with a very simple solution, right? Very simple solution. They painted that MRI to look like an underwater submarine. There's another one that looks like a pirate ship. So it became fun, interactive, like a game. So now, when the kid went through this MRI machine, they thought it's a game, you know. hey, okay, if I lie down really still here, right, later I will get a toy, or I'll get to go on the pirate ship adventure and meet Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay, that's it. So see, this also goes back to what I mentioned earlier, which is innovation does not need to be expensive. Innovation does not need to mean that you're creating something new. What did they create here? They didn't create anything. They just painted the MRI machine. That's it. That's innovation. Get it? So don't be too hung up on, I need to invent something big, it has to be expensive. No, just this. There you go. You solve the big problem, right? So this is my last slide. I'm just going to say that this is a problem for a lot of people. You say, yes, we want innovation. Yes, we want this, we want that. But no, we don't want change. So how are you going to innovate and change your process if you don't want to even consider like, hey, we're going to do things in a different way and so on and so forth? No, you don't want to. I just want to do things my own way, right? Now, in regards to the video, let me just like, ada masa lagi kan, Puan Yati?
Yeah, another 2 minutes more.
Okay, so I'm very quickly, I just
Hour?
video.
I'm Duncan Hour.
Where is this? Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. Well, we're here today for a CT scan of Duncan's sinuses. He's had some really chronic congestion and coughing. So we're going to have a look and see what's going on in there. And the pirate room was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. The room was painted completely like a pirate setup, including the floor. The floor was like the dock with the water on the sides, and animals and things on the walls. And the CT scanner itself was like the wheel of a pirate ship. It's for a child, it can be kind of scary. You see things that make noise and it look very institutional. And this is, you're not even really thinking about the fact that you're doing a procedure. Very, very welcoming, very whimsical and fun.
Okay, so yeah, see, there you go. Like, what did they say? It was whimsical, it was fun, it wasn't a procedure. You saw the kid when he got out of the MRI machine, he looked so happy, he looked so relaxed, right? Because why? It became a fun experience for him. So this is an example of what you say, innovation, invention, this kind of thing, right? So I guess I will conclude my session. If you, oh yeah, by the way, if you guys want to get in touch with me, sorry, I'm just going to share that right down here. So that's my phone number and my email address. If you guys want to drop me a message or anything, please by all means do. Love talking to creative, crazy people. I'm a crazy person when it comes to sharing ideas and coming up with this, like discussing about these kind of things. I love it, right? So by all means, if you guys want to get in touch with me, please do. Last thing I will say to all of y'all, right? Always look at the world with the curiosity of a child. Always look at the world, look at the world with wonder, with like the curiosity of a child. Don't be too quick or don't. I want to grow up, I want to be an adult, I want to be serious all the time. Yes, you will need to be serious as an adult, but keep that wonder and the curiosity of a child inside you. Then you see that the world is like, it's more, you can get your creativity, you can get your innovation and so on and so forth. So I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Faisal. There's one question from Mr. Khairi Afiq. Okay, thinking about current situation in Malaysia flood. Okay, any invention product that panels have seen before that you can share to us?
Would you like to go first?
Okay, all right. I think firstly I must thank Hairul for this question. Khairi, yeah. Means Khairi is very on the spot. It means thinking of solutions. You see what happens is most people are complaining, and we have this problem. You're blaming. There's a lot of blame game, which of course has to be addressed as well. But very few people are thinking about, hey, what to do to as a solution. So dua markah lah untuk Khairi, ya. Because he is thinking about ideas. So the question is, do I know of anything? Honestly, I have not really come across anything, or because I have not searched it myself. But if I just Google search and say solutions or ideas for floods, there'll be maybe 3.5 million hits that will come out. All right. So there are lots of solutions out there. But what I can remember seeing, which I want to share, is this inflatables. You know, inflatables are inflatables means like, you know, like a tube that you just blow air, or you use a pump and just inflate it. It becomes into a raft, into a boat. I've also seen inflatable tents. You know, like, you know, if you want to put a kema, you know, it's going to be very difficult to put a tent, you know, in a place, right? Because you need structure. But inflatable tents are available, right? So you just pump air and becomes a bumbong. It becomes an arch-like. So you need shelter. You need dry ground, all right? So inflatables, I think, is a very good solution, which is readily available. But of course, if you want to innovate it further, it's possibility. But in response to Khairi's, you know, thought, you know, is there any? You just search inflatables for, let's say, flood. There's a lot of solutions available there, right? And another reason is because when it is not in use, you can just pack it up into a small kit, right? So it takes very little space. It's very light. You go to the site. You need a boat. You just deflate it, and it becomes an inflatable. You can use as a boat. Right, so I think those are solutions that are very readily available.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for the answer, and also thank you for Dr. Faisal by helping us to picture the design thinking to aspire one coming up the better innovation and presentation skill. Okay, so now we turn to the wrap up session. Okay, I want to invite Mr. Ramesh to maybe conclude some point of view from Mr. Ramesh.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Faisal, you wanted to say something?
No.
Okay.
I pretty much summarized it. I didn't wrap up without knowing again.
Okay. Great. So in conclusion, firstly, I'd like to thank the organizers, quiz, and also UNISEL, and all the participants. I think you've been very patient. I see that the number is still strong. Tak ada yang have left yet. So that means you enjoy what we are presenting today. Yeah, I hope it has been useful because innovation is actually the way forward. It can be a very simple. Some people just dream about it, and I tell you through my own experience, I was working with a lot of invention organizations. So sometimes we ask, I just termimpi. Okay, dalam mimpi ni, I got this idea. Pun ada. So it has come in people's dreams, some people as a school project. So what I'm saying is that in conclusion, it's a very exciting field because it gives you the flexibility of coming up with a solution. All right. So if failure is part of it, no problem. You fail, you learn of it. So that is it. And in terms of STEM, it's a very important component. You must be, they call it STEM literate, STEM literate means you must know about a lot of things, all right? You must know about space a little bit. You must have the hunger for knowledge, right? So that's why when I was talking with Dr. Faisal also, I know he's a very well-read person, because you need to be well-read. That means you need to read a lot to be able to understand, then you can make the connections. If you just dalam one bidang only lah, let's say you're doing business, just business saja, I don't think it's very healthy. You need to have a knowledge in other disciplines. All right. So STEM is one that actually offers you. STEM meaning not necessarily the hardcore subjects, learning the basics about science, about chemistry, not just only that, the application, the physical part of it, what we call in our place, we call experiential learning. Like, for example, one of my slides, I mentioned about drone making. Just not flying, you can fly a drone, but if you make the drone, you learn more. Right? You acquire new interests. Whether this can be put directly to use, one day it may come to your, what you call your aid for developing another innovation. So in conclusion, that's what I would like to say. STEM is a very interesting and critical part of innovation development. And finally, I invite all of you. All right, I have shared the link to our center. If you want to come and get some idea, want to brainstorm, you want to do some collaboration, teachers, lecturers, students, most welcome. We are planning to do some things for next year. We welcome you. Maybe you got ideas you want to present our center, to call for possible investors pun boleh. We will give you some space to display your innovations, which is yang sedia ada lah. All right. So with that, Puan Yati, thank you. And I pass it back to you.
Anything from Dr. Faisal?
Okay, so for me, very quickly, one thing is, as I mentioned earlier, do not lose that passion, curiosity, and wonder that you had as a child. As you're growing up, don't lose it. Keep it in you. Always be creative. Always be curious. Always look at the world with wonder and everything, and then you will always have this hunger to create, to invent, and so on and so forth, right? Okay. And then the other one is, what was I going to say? Wait, hang on. I forgot. it was in my head, and I just forgot. Yeah, okay, now I remember. So very quickly, when someone asked me before, right, I got invited back to Monash after I finished my PhD to speak to the final year students, because they wanted the weird cases like me, for example, right? Kita orang belajar PhD in biotech, tapi working in National Innovation Agency, doing business development, that kind of thing. So the students wanted to know how you have learned something and then you are doing something completely different. So in that kind of situation, what I would say to you, it's in regards to what Mr. Ramesh was saying earlier also. Don't be in a situation where you belajar business, you business saja. You belajar law, you belajar law saja. Okay. What I mean is this: there are two ways that you can work, or when you're working, there's two ways you can do something. Which is one is you can apply what you know, which is your knowledge, which you gain from your education. The second way is you can apply how you know what you know, which is basically project management. So when someone asks me, how do you do business? How do you do business development when you're a biotech background? I say it's project management, right? That's what I did for 4 years in a PhD. I managed the project. So it's the same thing. So that's why we're saying, there's ways around it, and you need to learn a lot of things. Mr. Ramesh is absolutely true. Guys, just to share with you, right? I'm doing an MBA now. Why? Because I want to learn about business administration, marketing. I want to learn about that, right? So
never stop learning.
Correct. Keep learning, keep reading, keep understanding. The world will be an awesome place if you keep learning. Don't give up, don't stop, right? And last, thank you so much to Quiz, to UNISEL, to Selangor State Government, and to the organizers, Puan Yati, moderator for us.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Faisal. Okay, we finally come up to end of our today's webinar. I would like to thank our panels, Mr. Ramesh and Dr. Faisal, for an informative and interesting presentation, and to the participant for active participation. Okay, hopefully the webinar will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for all attending. We hope we learn and we will get meet until the next week. Okay, to all VIPs and panels, please remain for the group photo session.
Okay, now we are going to have a photography session. Please turn on all of the cameras. Okay. Okay. Please turn on all cameras. Although you're outside, just turn on all cameras. Inside or outside, just turn on. Okay, wait. We wait for everyone to turn on. Because this is the closing session, I really hope that we can get the participants turn on the camera. Oh, that is Mr. Kirol, our technical, our technical person. Okay, please turn on all the cameras.
Oh, we can see Encik Khairi now, the air, man. Good question. Really appreciate it.
Next major invention, on flood solutions will come from Khairi.
So, Encik Khairi, we're looking forward.
Okay, we have 3 galleries. So this is the first one. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, the second one. Hold on, yeah. third one. Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you to the
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
panelists.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you to the moderator. Thank you, UNISEL. Thank you, Quiz.
Okay,
Thank you all, everyone that's involved in this program one. And we do have the continuous programs, which we call as program 2 and program 3, which required a whole lot of commitment from the participants. I wish you all the best and good luck for your final year project. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Farhan.
Ponyati, for the wonderful hosting, and
Okay, thank
Dr.
you.
Faisal, very good sharing. I learned quite a bit today as well. Thank you so much. Right. So looking forward to seeing you all soon. Do come by to our center, and happy weekend.
Bye. Thank you all. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
See you all again.